We all agreed not to do gifts this year, my mom announced, smiling like a queen declaring peace. For a second, the room felt too perfect. The fire crackled. The chandelier hummed. I almost believed her. Then the front door opened. My sister swept in, arms stacked with shimmering boxes, laughter echoing through the house. My son froze watching his cousin tear into an iPhone 17 Pro Max. Tears of joy spilled down his face. Something inside me snapped, not loudly, just clean. That night, no one noticed I stayed awake. They will when they see what I did next. I grew up in Wisconsin, where winters feel endless and family meant everything. Or so I thought. My name's Zoe. I'm 37, married to Ethan, a paramedic who somehow still finds patients after 12-hour shifts. We have 2 kids, Emma, 9, quiet and thoughtful, and Jake, 7, all energy and heart. We live in a modest house with peeling white paint and a furnace that moans every December. Still, it's home, warm in the ways that matter. My parents, Carolyn and Rick, live 20 minutes away in their colonial dream house, wreaths on every window and a driveway that looks like an invitation to be judged before you reach the door. My mother loves perfection, or the appearance of it. At least her pearls, her hair, the way she calls things simple right before making them complicated. My father measures love in price tags and golf scores. And then there's Tessa, my younger sister. She's the sparkle to my stability, the favorite since we were kids. She never had to earn affection. She just arrived and the room shifted to her orbit. I used to think I was okay being the dependable one. The one who remembered birthdays, who showed up early, who stayed late to help clean. Every family needs one, right? I didn't see how that kind of loyalty turns into currency. The more you give, the more people expect you to. When we were little, Mom used to say, "Zoe's the sensible one. She doesn't need much." At 14, I gave up summer camp so Tessa could go to cheer camp. Mom pressed a 20 into my hand and said that made it fair. At 23, I co-signed Tessa's first apartment lease because she was still finding her footing. At 28, I had a small courthouse wedding so we wouldn't overshadow Tessa's engagement party. Every time I told myself it didn't matter, it did. Still, every Christmas I'd show up with homemade cookies and hand-knit scarves and the same fragile hope that this year might feel different. Last year, Ethan's overtime was cut. We agreed to skip big gifts and just focus on family time. Presents, not presents, Emma said, proud of the phrase we'd been using to keep spirits high. I clung to that. A week before Christmas, Mom called, her voice bright. "We're keeping things simple this year. No pressure, Zoe, just bring yourselves." It sounded reasonable. I wanted to believe it. I wanted my kids to believe in family the way I once did. So we baked brownies, wrapped them in parchment tied with candy cane ribbons. Emma made the ribbons. Jake drew glittery cards full of misspelled joy. We packed them carefully, laughing as frosting smeared our fingers. For a moment, it felt right. Like maybe all the years of imbalance could be wiped clean by one honest Christmas. Driving to my parents' house, snow fell in slow, forgiving flakes. The radio hummed low. Ethan squeezed my hand. "It'll be fine," he said. What he meant was, "Brace yourself." "Still," I said, "that's what I do." When we pulled into the driveway, the porch was perfectly symmetrical, wreaths and matching ribbons. My mother opened the door before we knocked, her smile tight and camera ready. "There you are," she said, kissing the air beside my cheek. Cinnamon and control filled the foyer. "Remember, we all agreed no gifts," she reminded us. I gave the kind of smile you give when you already know the ending but pretend not to. Dinner started the way it always did. Too bright, too loud, too perfect. My mom's table gleamed with gold chargers and cloth napkins folded like swans. The catered food arrived in silver trays, steaming and flawless. She waved off my brownies as if they were a charming relic from the past. "Oh, how sweet," she said, setting them beside the appetizers like an afterthought. Ethan helped Rick uncork wine. They exchanged polite small talk that sounded rehearsed. Mom peppered Ethan with questions about his work schedule, concern coding a barb. Still those long shifts. "That must be tough on the kids." Translation: "You should be earning more." Ethan smiled, used to her double-edged compliments. I saw the flicker in his jaw. Tessa breezed in 20 minutes late, her coat glimmering under the chandelier. "Sorry, the roads were terrible," she announced, kissing Mom on both cheeks like she'd just returned from Paris. Logan followed with glossy gift bags. Mom clapped. "You made it." The room tilted. I looked at my lap, breathing through the sting. We all agreed. No gifts this year. The words circled my mind like a cruel joke. Tessa set the bags near the tree. "Don't worry, these aren't real gifts. Just little things we picked up," she winked. Laughter spread like perfume. Rick chuckled. "You always go above and beyond, sweetheart." No one looked at me. Jake tugged my sleeve. "Can we give Grandma our brownies now?" he whispered. I nodded, forcing a smile. Emma carried the tray, her small hands trembling as she offered it. "Oh, darling," Mom said, taking it delicately. "Homemade. How lovely." She didn't open it. My throat tightened. I watched Emma's excitement dim. She set the brownies beside the shrimp platter and stood silently beside me. Dinner moved on to Tessa's new kitchen renovation, her kids' private school, their upcoming trip to Maui. Every story sparkled with money. I sipped water, feeling smaller with each toast. At one point, Rick turned to me. "So Zoe's still at that little marketing job?" Ethan stepped in. "She's department lead now," he said quietly. "Oh," Rick said, raising an eyebrow. "Well, good for you." The tone was the one he used when congratulating his golf buddies for not losing by too much. I laughed, thin and brittle. Plates cleared. Conversation drifted to the tree. Tessa's sons buzzed about what was in the bags. Mom said, "We'll just let them open a few things." My stomach dropped. Jake's hand found mine under the table, sticky with frosting. He smiled up at me, trusting and oblivious. Emma sat perfectly still, eyes flicking from the pile of presents to me. I squeezed her hand, pretending calm, while every nerve in my body screamed. The first gift tore open with a sound that split the room, the sharp rip of expensive paper. Then another and another. Tessa's son sat on the floor, surrounded by glossy boxes, laughter rising with each unwrapping. An iPhone 17 Pro Max shimmered beneath the lights. "Oh my God, Mom!" Her oldest shouted, tears of joy streaming. Across the room, Jake froze mid-step. He still held the handmade card he'd drawn for Grandma, a wobbly tree with crooked stars. His eyes darted from the glowing phone to his grandmother's smiling face. "Didn't Grandma say no gifts?" he whispered. Emma pressed closer to me, her small hand clutching my sleeve. I couldn't answer. I watched my mother's radiant practice smile, the one she saves for company. "It's just a little something," she said. "We didn't want to make a big deal." My pulse thudded in my ears. Rick and Logan tossed empty boxes into a pile. "Worth every penny," Logan said. Rick nodded, chuckling. "That's what Christmas is about, huh?" Seeing their faces light up. All I could hear was Jake's quiet voice again. "Are we poor, Mom?" The words hit harder than any criticism before. My throat closed. Emma's fingers tightened until they trembled. The brownies sat untouched, drying beneath the heat vent. The cards we made lay stacked and forgotten. Tessa leaned against the mantel, sipping champagne, her smirk soft but sharp. "Don't be so serious, Zoe, it's Christmas." My father sighed dramatically. Here we go again. That was it. The final insult. The casual dismissal of years of swallowed pride. I stood slow and steady. The laughter dimmed. "We should get going," I said quietly. Mom blinked, surprised. "But dessert?" "You can have ours," she protested. My voice didn't shake. "Merry Christmas." Ethan helped the kids with their coats. No one stopped us. Not really. Maybe they didn't believe I meant it. Outside, snow drifted under the porch light, soft and silent. Jake's mitten slipped from my hand as he climbed into the car. "Are they mad at us?" he asked. "No, sweetheart," I said. My voice was calm now, almost light. "They just don't understand." As we drove away, the house behind us glowed like a movie set, perfect and hollow. I looked in the rearview mirror at my children's faces, pale in the glow of Christmas lights. I'd spent my life being the quiet one, the reasonable one, but somewhere between that untouched plate of brownies and my son's question, something inside me cracked open. It wasn't anger. It was clarity, sharp, clean, irreversible. That night, sleep wouldn't come. The house was quiet except for the soft hum of the furnace and the steady breathing of my kids. I sat at the kitchen table in my robe, a half-empty mug of cocoa cooling beside me, My laptop glowed pale blue in the dark. I opened our bank account, something I'd avoided for months. Rows of transactions scrolled past, familiar and suddenly obscene. Netflix family plan, Verizon shared lines, Amazon household, a gym membership, charges in my name for services I'd quietly paid for years, small favors that turned into permanent debts. I opened a spreadsheet and typed one word in the header: reclaiming. Line by line, I listed everything. Each click was like opening a valve. The more I cut, the lighter I felt. The guilt that had lived in my chest for decades loosened its grip. Ethan came to the doorway. "Zoe, it's almost 4, he said. "What are you doing?" "This part's mine," I said, closing my fingers around the mouse. "I'm taking back what's ours." One by one, we canceled what we were entitled to cancel. Netflix, Amazon, extra phone lines that weren't ours. Each deletion made room for something else. Time, peace, dignity. By sunrise, I closed the laptop and exhaled. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I felt awake. The phone buzzed. Carolyn, Rick, Tessa. 47 missed calls. I didn't answer. Later, there was a pounding at the door. My parents stood on the porch, red-faced, fury leaking into the cold. Behind them, 2 police officers shifted awkwardly. "This is my daughter," Carolyn announced. "She hacked our accounts and stole our services." The younger officer cleared his throat. "Ma'am, could we talk inside?" I stepped back, calm. "Sure, coffee." I laid out printed statements. Each account, each charge. The officer skimmed and nodded. "These are legally yours, ma'am. You're entitled to cancel." Rick exploded. "We raised you. You can't just—" "I didn't take anything," I said quietly. "I just stopped giving what was never appreciated." Silence. The officers left. "My parents didn't." Carolyn's voice trembled. "Family doesn't do this." "Exactly," I replied. "Family doesn't take and call it love." They left with the slam of a door that echoed through the house. I leaned against the counter, shaking. Not from fear, but from release. Ethan wrapped an arm around me. "You okay?" "I think I am," I said. "I finally am." By afternoon, the family group chat lit up like a siren. "We're heartbroken," my mother wrote. "This isn't how we raised you." Tessa chimed in. "Can't believe my own sister ruined Christmas." Rick added his usual punctuation. Unacceptable. I didn't respond. I made pancakes with Jake while Emma practiced her recorder. For once, the noise in my kitchen was just noise. Simple, honest, peaceful. That evening, my parents came back. Somehow their outrage cooled into confusion. "We just want to talk," Mom said. I let them in. Dad paced. "Do you know how much we sacrificed for you?" I opened a folder and set it on the coffee table. 10 years of quiet giving laid bare. Phone bills, insurance subscriptions, temporary help that never ended. Mom scanned the pages, color draining from her face. "I never asked for repayment," I said evenly. "But I'm done carrying the weight of your choices." She looked up, eyes glistening. "We didn't mean to take advantage." "I know," I said softly. "Intent doesn't erase impact." Ethan stood behind me, silent support. The kids' laughter drifted from the hallway, proof of the life I had been protecting. Dad sank onto the couch, the fight gone from his shoulders. "So what happens now?" he asked. I closed the folder. "Now I take care of my family. You take care of yours." For the first time in years, there was no shouting, just quiet, awkward acceptance. As they left, Mom paused at the door. "We'll call next time," she murmured. "That's all I've ever wanted," I said. When the door clicked shut, Ethan slipped an arm around my waist. The house felt lighter, like someone had opened every window at once. I wasn't the peacekeeper anymore. I was the boundary. 6 months later, summer sunlight spilled across our backyard. Emma knelt beside me planting tomato seedlings, her hands covered in soil. Jake chased bubbles across the grass. Ethan finished his paramedic certification exam, the one we could finally afford. The house breathed. We didn't need luxury to feel rich. We just needed peace. Voiceover fades in. I used to think keeping the family together meant never saying no. Sometimes the bravest way to love is to stop letting people take from you. Some gifts can't be wrapped. They have to be earned. If you've ever had to choose peace over pleasing others, this story is for you. Hit subscribe for more real family dramas, true stories of betrayal, boundaries, and redemption. Check our family betrayal playlist and new podcast episodes for more stories like this one. Your support helps us tell the stories that deserve to be heard.